Welcome to yet another episode of Healthy Talks. As we mark World IVF Day, we are shining a light on infertility, a journey that millions of couples face, often in silence. While fertility challenges can be emotionally overwhelming, advances in reproductive medicine are helping more people achieve their dream of parenthood. Joining us today are two leading fertility experts from EVA IVF and Women's Center, Chennai. Dr. R. Archana is a consultant fertility specialist with over 15 years of experience in reproductive medicine. Her expertise spans advanced fertility treatments, recurrent implantation failure, regenerative medicine, and personalized fertility care, helping countless couples and navigate their path to parenthood. We also have Dr. A. Nazreen, a fertility specialist, obstetrician, gynecologist, and laparoscopic surgeon with over 15 years of experience. She specializes in IVF, IUI, fertility preservation, reproductive endocrinology, and minimally invasive surgery, and is known for her patient centered approach to fertility care. In this conversation, we will bust common myths about infertility, understand when to seek expert help, simplify the IVF journey, explore the latest advances in fertility treatment, and share practical advice for anyone planning a family, whether you are considering fertility treatment or simply looking to learn more. This discussion promises expert insights, clarity, and hope. Thank you for joining us, doctors. Dr. Nazreen, we are hearing more and more about infertility among young couples these days. Why is it becoming so common today?
Yes, infertility is definitely on the rise, and it's not because people are doing one thing wrong. Modern lifestyle has changed a lot. People are marrying later, planning pregnancies later, sleeping less, experiencing more stress, eating unhealthy diets, and even leading sedentary lifestyles. Not only that, conditions like PCOS, thyroid, obesity, endometriosis, and even male infertility is also on the rise.
Dr. Archana, is infertility becoming a lifestyle disease today? What is the biggest risk factors that couples are facing?
That's a wonderful question. Definitely, we are not living the same life which our grandparents or parents were living. So, the lifestyle which our parents and grandparents were adapting is not the same which we are living the way. Okay. One thing, the biggest risk factor you are asking is the age of the marriage and the age of the first childbirth. We are postponing that because of various reasons.
So, Dr. Nazreen, when should a couple actually consult a specialist according to you?
It all depends on the age and how long they have been married. If a couple is married for more than a year and they have been trying without success, if the woman's age is less than 30 years, it's fine, they can consult a doctor. If the woman's age is more than 35, they have to immediately consult a doctor. If they have a known condition like diabetes, thyroid, obesity, or some pelvic conditions like a fibroid or endometriosis, or even a woman with irregular cycles and a man with a history of abnormal semen analysis, it is better to consult the doctor and to have a proper diagnosis so that they will have earlier success.
Dr. Archana, how does age exactly impact fertility?
As Dr. Nasreen told, age is one of the main criteria where we determine when the couple has to come to us for treatment and evaluation. And two things where couple usually make mistakes. First thing, they underestimate the age, and also they equate the men and women age. Okay, I will tell you why. See, women are all born with fixed number of eggs, you and me and each and every female in this world. And these eggs are getting used up every month. By the age of 30, almost like 50% of the eggs are gone. And after the age of 30, exponentially it is reduced. And at the age of 40, we are actually going through perimenopause. And at 45, 50, we have menopause. So the eggs of the female dramatically and drastically reduces as we age. Unlike men, where the quality reduces, the sperm's quality reduces, but not the number as such. So age is the biggest determinant and also is the biggest risk factor for the infertility. So as the woman age, she has to be more careful about knowing her egg reserve before she plans when she is going to have a baby.
Dr. Nazreen, PMOS has been affecting millions of women today. And the biggest confusion or say question would be to any woman would be, will I be able to conceive if I have PMOS?
So it affects the women right from head to foot. When the metabolism is not good, the woman's body is not fertile enough to carry a pregnancy. But if we do the lifestyle correction with the proper medication and with the proper treatment guidance, many women are conceiving naturally, maybe with the follicular study, simple medical help like a follicular study, ovulation induction, and with IUI also.
Dr. Rachna, a lot of couples usually think that it is only a women's issue, but how true is that? And are males are also affected equally?
Yeah, definitely. The infertility problems contributes nearly 50 percentage by men. But it is very, very good to know that the awareness among men has increased so dramatically. Like, for example, during in previous generations, men never used to come to consultation. Only the women along with their mother or mother-in-law they come. Almost we see only couples coming. And also the problems in men has also increased because of lifestyle, smoking, alcohol, and the stress, and also their work timings. Okay, so males also equally contributes towards infertility.
Dr. Nazreen, how important it is for a couple to take care of their health before conceiving? And what are the factors they should worry about?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because many people think like after becoming pregnant only we need to take care of the body. It is not so. So this is what we call as preconceptional health or prenatal health checkups. So once a couple is married only, we ask them to take a proper prenatal vitamins, folic acid supplementation, and if their weight is not in the correct range, their BMI has to be optimized. And if they have any pre-existing health conditions like diabetes, thyroid, or if they are taking any medications, it needs to be optimized, especially when the woman is taking some medications, because she has to support the pregnancy, the medications has to be optimized.
So, how many months before should they be more careful about it?
Yeah, ideally before 6 months or at least 3 months. The man's semen quality and the woman's egg quality are determined in this period only.
Dr. Archana, does being obese or being underweight actually matters before conceiving?
As Dr. Nasreen told, we have to maintain an ideal weight before trying to conceive. If they go behind their ideal weight, sometimes the women may fall back and they may end up reducing ovarian reserve. So if the woman is trying to conceive and if she is overweight or obese, at least a target of reducing 5 to 10 percentage of her body weight is sufficient according to the guidelines to achieve good egg quality. And for men, the same thing holds true, and it will increase the sperm health also. And it has to become a lifestyle change. Okay, we cannot ask a couple at their mid-30s suddenly to reduce weight. The awareness for ideal weight should start from the kids, for the school going kids and the college going kids, about the concept of ideal weight.
As much as we talk about obesity, we don't talk about being underweight. What do you think about that? I mean, I think the couple should find a balance.
Yeah, in reproduction, everything is about moderation. Yes. Yeah, see, if being excess is also not good, being under is also not good. So if a woman is underweight, the body hormones are not in the proper shape. So for the production of steroid hormones, like when you take estrogen, progesterone, or any other hormone in the body, the base is from the fat. The cholesterol is the basic building block from which the hormones are being produced. So ideal body weight has to be maintained. If someone is in the underweight range, we give them nutritional advice, proper protein intake, and if needed, we send them for a good nutritional guidance and then take them up for treatment.
So, Dr. Rachna, what kind of exercises are recommended to couples?
Okay, that's a wonderful question. Usually, when we talk about the exercise, the first thing which comes into our mind is walking, running, jogging. Okay, they're all aerobic exercise. True, it's very good form of exercise, but especially in the case of PMOS and all, where there is going to be a metabolic component and insulin resistance, we have to go towards muscle building and strength training. That is very, very important. So our previous belief, it was not actually belief, our knowledge about exercise was women should not strength train, women should not muscle build, it's only for man. It was like that. Okay, but it is a complete false false statement. Women should also build muscles. In fact, women muscle building is very, very important because it helps in reducing insulin resistance in women. Not only that, the protein content which we are eating has significantly reduced. Okay, we have shifted towards a more of carbohydrate rich diet than protein rich diet. So protein diet is very, very important. So what do you think about protein diet?
Yeah, protein intake is something which is not taken in the correct sense. We always believe like because majority of Indian diet is vegetarian based diet, the quality of protein, the bioavailability of protein also matters. So the ideally 1 to 1.5 gram per kg of body weight should be the ideal protein intake. For a very very average weight woman like 60 or 70 kg also, we need 60 to 70 grams of proteins, which is not at all possible to be met by a regular diet. So protein supplementation is also a key in correcting this protein deficiency. And one more thing, when we tell the couples about the diet and the exercise and the weight loss, many people say like we are doing calorie restriction, we are doing good workouts, morning walks, etc. But what we don't understand is there is a huge role played by insulin. So tackling the insulin resistance is the key behind all these metabolic corrections, be it weight loss or weight gain or gaining muscle strength.
So, Dr. Nazreen, is IVF the only treatment available for infertile couples?
No, not at all. See, this is a misconception among the public. When a couple comes to a fertility center, they think that IVF is the only option. It is not so, and it is also the main reason many couple are deferring treatment. Okay, so we start from very basic evaluation, fertility diagnostics. What is the reason a couple is not having a baby? So right from there, we start the treatment also. So there are basically three category of treatment. If a couple is of young age and very short period marriage and all factors like husband semen analysis, tube testing and ovarian reserve is good, we just advise them to have a natural intercourse and we supplement that with something called follicular study or ovulation induction, and and the next level of treatment can be IUI, intrauterine insemination. It's a very simple daycare procedure only. For those couples who are not giving a result with other treatments and the women's age is advanced and they have been married for very long years, IVF is definitely a good solution for them. But IVF is not for all.
Could you take us through the journey of an IVF procedure in simple terms?
Yeah, it depends on the couple's parameters. IVF is basically done by two simple steps. One step is to grow the women's egg, monitor them, and then take them out through oocyte retrieval, and we form the embryos. It's basically the micro babies. So, and we freeze them, we cryopreserve them, and once the woman's uterus is ready, the endometrial lining is perfect, we place the embryos inside the uterine cavity and we give necessary medications and then test her for pregnancy. So IVF is basically retrieving the eggs, forming the babies and then keeping back inside the woman's womb.
Dr. Archana, in the field of IVF today, how has the technology improved over the years and what are the advancements that has significantly, impacted the success rates?
Because of advancement in reproductive medicines, we are able to push against nature and we are able to give better success rate because of many things. One of the main important thing which happened in the last 10 years is the selection of the sperms. There are a lot of sperm selection techniques where we are able to identify that one good sperm which can produce that one good embryo and a successful pregnancy. And not only that, we are facing a lot of patients having a poor AMH where we do stem cells and PRP, where we try to regenerate the ovaries and we try to bring about the new follicular development. That is also a very important technology which has bloomed up in the past 10 years. The other thing is that incubation system where the embryos are being grown in the lab and where the systems have advanced so much that we need not open the incubators and see the embryos growing, right? We have a special monitor which is attached to it. Even without opening, we'll be able to see the embryos growing. Okay, so what is the benefit of that? For example, if a patient is having 10 embryos and will be confused which embryos to transfer. Okay, so in order to transfer 1 or 2 embryos out of the 10 embryos, these images will be fed to an AI based system system, and the AI tells us which embryos to transfer. So because of all these advancements which has happened in the past 10 years, we are able to give a better success rate even for the couples who has deemed to have success rate only around 30 to 40%.
Dr. Nazreen, if a couple is looking to freeze their eggs, if a woman is looking to freeze their egg, what would be the ideal age according to you?
I would say earlier the better. If a woman is not married and not having an ideal partner, she can freeze her eggs alone. And if a couple is married and they are not planning pregnancy sooner, they can form their embryos. That is, take the woman's eggs, join with the husband's sperm, we do ICSI and then form embryos and we freeze them. And the woman can have the pregnancy at her convenience later. Pregnancy success rate is dependent on the age at which the eggs are formed, not at the age at which the woman is getting pregnant.
Quality of
The quality improves a lot. And when we talk about fertility preservation, it is not only for elective preservation. A woman is having some diseases, some cancers at a younger age, and the woman has to go for some chemotherapies. So even the breast cancer and any other cancer incidence is on the rise nowadays. So the women need not lose her fertility potential. So they can freeze the eggs even before starting the treatment for the cancers. Young men who are having some cancers, they can also freeze their semen. So, and they can have the fatherhood later.
So, Dr. Archana, a lot of women these days have also been facing recurrent miscarriages. What do they do in such instances?
The good news is, if we evaluate properly, if we find the cause, we have a solution for each and every cause. Okay, so those couple need not worry about having a recurrent miscarriage. Certainly there will be a cause, and certainly there will be, in certain conditions, there will be unexplained factors also. Whatever be the factors, there is solution. So I just want to tell that don't worry about miscarriages.
Dr. Nazreen, a lot of couples would not be able to, afford the freezing of eggs or even the IVF treatment. So, what do they do about that? What is the other way they can go for it?
When you compare the previous decade to a current scenario, IVF is becoming accessible. Many middle income people are able to do it. Many centers are offering easy financing options. So with this, they can space and do the payments also. So they are able to space it, and with proper strategy and planning, even for very middle income or lower income couples also doing IVF and getting their babies.
I totally accept with Dr. Nazreen. Okay, nowadays I think with proper planning, I think the treatment has become very, very common to everybody. Everybody is accessing. As fertility specialists, where we have been practicing for the past 10-15 years, we are seeing couple from all categories coming to us and seeking treatment. One thing is that in the past few years, the protocols have changed. We have individualized protocols. Probably some 15-20 years back, there was a single protocol where everybody was given only one protocol. Okay, depending upon the number of eggs or depending upon the sperms, it was not varying. But now, if possible, we are advising minimal stimulation protocol, green IVF, natural stimulation protocol, where the injection cost and the tablet cost is dramatically reducing, where we are able to offer IVF treatment in a much affordable rate also.
Okay, doctor. What would be that one advice you both would like to give on the World IVF Day?
They should not, restrict themselves to go to a gynecologist or a fertility specialist to evaluate themselves. Evaluate yourself now and plan your life. That's all.
Yeah, I would say 1 year is the golden time for deciding. So, women's age 30 is the golden number. So, I'm seeing many women coming to me and telling, if I had known this earlier, I would have decided. I would have started the treatment. I did not know this, doctor. Nobody has told me. So, because the falling ovarian reserve or having a low anti-Mullerian hormone, that is low egg quality, is becoming like an epidemic nowadays. Every other woman whom we are seeing in the OPD, they have less reserve. So, even if I offer IVF, everything is going to be dependent on how much they have inside their body. So do not postpone the pregnancy and do not make later decisions.
Thank you, doctors, for joining us today, and it was really insightful. I hope your message goes to a lot of people out there who are looking to go for IVF in future.
Thank you, Supriya, for having us here. It was a very good opportunity for us to educate the common people, to clear the myths, and to spread some awareness about IVF on this World IVF Day.